Hello, welcome back to New Rockstars Debrief. I'm Erik Voss. Joining me today are Sam Bashor.
Howdy ho.
And Maude Garett.
What's up?
Guys, this is it. We're locking in
Endgame.
our final predictions for Avengers Endgame. We're 1 week away. We're also going to talk about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the Dark Phoenix trailer that came out this week, and a rumor about a fourth Thor movie in the works.
Hammer time.
Hammer time.
Yay.
And here's your friendly weekly reminder that this show is also available as a podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, the Himalaya app, or wherever you get your podcasts. And, don't forget to subscribe to the Westeros Weekly feed if you're a Game of Thrones fan. And for Marvel fans, we just got a new feed just for you guys. It's called Inside Marvel, and it's going to be where you'll be able to find all the audio versions and advanced access of all of our Marvel content on this channel. So, we're covering all bases. And on that podcast feed, you'll also find ticket instructions for our big Endgame watch party event in LA next week. Your ticket, if you choose to go, will get you a free soda and a popcorn at the El Capitan Theater, which is probably the coolest way to watch Avengers Endgame. Disney goes all out for these things. And there's also going to be catered appetizers after the movie. Plus, you'll get to see Avengers Endgame, as I said, the best place. But you'll be able to see, if you go to the 2:30 screening of it, you'll be in the audience for a live episode of this show.
Shut your
New
mouth.
Rockstars Debrief. We're going to be there. We're going to talk about Avengers Endgame and get your thoughts. We're going to break it down together. And the link will also be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and in the show notes if you're experiencing this through podcast of this episode. And tickets are selling fast, so definitely hop on it. We've never done something like this before. We're very, very excited.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
Okay.
So it's like a debrief straight after the movie.
Yes, it's a true debrief.
let
It's
it
true,
simmer.
like, let's talk about what you just experienced, soldier, and debrief you on this. Okay,
Whoa.
well, let's get started with our top story, Avengers Endgame. We're in the Endgame now, folks.
Hold on,
This
can
is
we
it.
just really talk about the fact that this is the last time that we are going to go in blind with it? This
Yeah.
is the last time we don't know anything. That's so
Yeah,
cool. That's so
right.
cool.
I've been very lucky that I
It's
have
been a
not
year.
seen any spoilers
Either.
or anything like
Yeah.
that, and I would like to keep it that way.
I've been neoing my spoilers.
Yeah, we don't have inside access to anything. Some of us are going to be seeing it earlier next week, but we don't pay attention to leaks or anything like that. That's like cheating, right?
Yeah.
So if you've been unlucky to see a screen cap or footage that looks like
screen
potato-y in a
cap.
leak, we don't want to see it. Don't share it with us, right? Because it's too close to the movie to break that stuff down.
Yeah.
Then we're just spoiling the movie at that point.
You are trash goblins if you do that.
Yes, and you'll get an immediate block from me if you ever do that. Permanent. I will never unblock you.
No.
Okay, so anyway, let's talk about Endgame. Set some final predictions, right?
Yes.
Let's put our final bets in for what we think this will go, based off of our speculation from trailers, our imaginative, wishful thinking for what we want the story to be. And, this time next week in El Capitan, we'll know for sure. So we'll know exactly how the Infinity Saga ends. But let's talk about it here. What this movie will be, what Phase 4 will look like. We're going to run through our wildest theories that we've had and heard over the past year, which has been a lot of interesting ones, along with our current and final predictions. So there can be one place and all in one place. And next week, we'll check back in to see how we did. And spoiler alert, we haven't seen the movie yet, but sometimes our theories end up being right just through accident.
Humble brag.
on your shoulder there. Oh, there you go.
That's just by analyzing things a bit too closely. Okay, let's talk about Doctor Strange from Infinity War. He had some cryptic lines. He saw 14,605 different futures. He said that surrendering the Time Stone, letting Thanos win, was, quote, the only way.
Yeah.
He said we are in the end game now, providing the title for the next movie. And we've theorized lots of stuff about Doctor Strange. One of the theories, we said that maybe he put them all in a big time loop before he died, like he did with Dormammu to get a second shot at taking him down. Another, maybe that he projected the Time Stone into the future so that he could help the future Avengers use that Time Stone to defeat Thanos. Mm-hmm. And another one is that since Doctor Strange and the Ancient One understand the quantum realm better than other characters do, since they have a vast knowledge of the multiverse, maybe Doctor Strange's knowledge of the quantum realm, where Scott Lang is currently still trapped, will be used to meddle with timelines in some way. So I'm curious to know from you guys, how important do you think Doctor Strange will be to the plot of Endgame, and how much should we have looked into him over this past year?
Honestly, I didn't know about that theory that he sent the Time Stone to the future and brought it back just in time to give it to Thanos. I'm like, that's
Really smart.
pretty dope. I mean, you get into time travel gobbledygook a little bit. When you get into that, you're like, but what if it was in the future? How long was it in the future? And also, Thanos has it in the
Time's
present, so
irrelevant.
where was it? Time's relevant. It's a circle. It's wibbly wobbly. You know what it is. It could be
Yeah.
anything. The writers can make it mean whatever they want it to mean, but at the same time, it's like,
Well, that's what makes him the biggest threat to Thanos, really. And that line of dialogue stood out to me so much. It's the only way. Like when he said that, because he's tried everything and this is it, and he had to sacrifice himself, knowing that he would sacrifice his cape too.
The cape.
Yeah, the cloak of levitation. Yeah, it's weird that he said the only way, because it was like weirdly helpful or hopeful in a way. Like, oh, so this is the only way. So we're on the right track then?
No, it was defeated for sure. He's tried everything, and this was the only way. And it's not great. When you only have one shot, a lot of it means that like most people will die, which we've seen. So this isn't pretty. But Doctor Strange is 100% the key to all of this.
I think that's a good way to think about it. And I guess I'm curious, will the gimmick or the strategy that the Avengers end up using in Endgame, do you think it'll be what Doctor Strange prescribed? Or will it be like they use some knowledge?
Hey.
Or do you think they'll use some of his knowledge but then crack some new code that is unrelated to his wisdom?
No, you can't do something predictable because he's already seen it.
How many
that's true.
times did Doctor Strange watch the Ant-Man theory in that whole scheme of it? Let us know in the comments down below.
He still has no idea.
That was 13 million of them, and then he did another million of different options.
Yeah. There's some, one of you guys commented on one of our videos saying, like, it's not fair. Doctor Strange saw Endgame 14,605 times. We haven't seen it once. We assume the version of the plot of Endgame is what Doctor Strange foresaw. And I suggest that you guys go back and watch all of our videos on there, because we've speculated all different kinds of specific conditions that needed to be in place for this to be the only way forward. Things ranging from Tony Stark successfully punching Thanos in the face and drawing blood. How important would that have been? Is it important that Tony Stark, kind of like in 300, how he makes Xerxes bleed and like, oh no, I didn't miss. Like that was important symbolically to show the other Spartans that this god can bleed.
Very cool. Yeah. I watched Infinity War last night because I've been working my way through it over like the past week, and it's still real good, gang. Honestly, I would like to see something. I would not see Doctor Strange gloat, but I would like to see something like some ramifications of him being like, "No, I knew this was going to happen." However you want to paint that in a way that's not annoying or condescending or what have you, I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Well, moving on to another point, we haven't really seen whatever the new strategy will be in the second half of Endgame in any of the trailers. They've been pretty good about keeping that stuff out. Really, it looks like a lot of the footage has been from the first half.
Super cool.
One of the theories that we've speculated is that things will get worse for the Avengers before they get better, that there may be some kind of doomed revenge mission in the opening act. We saw that in that release scene on Good Morning America, that they plan on just going to take another swing at Thanos now that they have Captain Marvel. But if that happens in the first act, that can't be the thing that defeats him, right? So we've talked about maybe there could be an early death of a major Avenger, or maybe even a second snap, or some other kind of great tragic thing that Thanos does on them in the first part of the movie.
The reason why I don't think there's a second snap is because we've never actually seen what the Infinity Gauntlet can do with all of the stones in it. So we've just seen him do one thing. I think we're going to explore just how formidable all the stones together are going to be.
Oh, right. It had that one blast towards Stormbreaker, but it didn't really work. And the directors have said it's because he was still testing it out.
Yeah.
So, like, technically the Gauntlet is still supposed to be more powerful than Stormbreaker is, but we haven't really seen that other than the snap.
Well, at the end of the day, though, I think you're messing with... Thanos is still mortal. And to go back to your comment, we are dealing with gods in this world. And I think that gods can't really die. I mean, I don't necessarily think that Odin's dead per se. I mean, gods don't necessarily die. They just go off to Valhalla.
Like in Ragnarok, it's supposed to be a cyclical cycle. It's not apocalypse.
A cyclical cycle?
Yeah, cyclical.
One of those
Exactly.
cyclical
Yeah.
cycles.
Hey, you got a couple redundancies built into Ragnarok,
like
and even
poetry.
the title. They meant to come back in some way, at least in Norse mythology and sometimes in Marvel Comics, because everyone comes. No, the death's a revolving door.
And isn't it interesting that the way Odin died in Ragnarok was like turning into particles
Spores.
that faded off, into the
Grow
ocean.
other Odins elsewhere.
So is there any connection with that, with the aesthetic that we saw the other characters fade away? And is there any connection there? Are they in the same, whatever new place they go to, or are they all there hanging out?
It's interesting.
Yeah,
but
the afterlife.
I also like the idea that in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline that this story is based off of, Nebula is basically being tortured over and over and over again by Thanos.
We don't need to see more of that.
We don't. But during that, and while Thanos is doing his evil guy laugh, hanging out with Mephisto, slapping Captain America around, Nebula sneaks over, and when Thanos gets defeated, takes the Infinity Gauntlet and uses it. And I like the idea of someone in, like, basically she's been brutally abused by this person, and having the idea for
Her
just a
father.
second, her father.
Yeah, it's so much more personal.
And maybe trying to make the decision of what if we got rid of Thanos. And it's like, well, you can't just do that because he is the result of everything that's happened so far. And doing that might bring people back or it might make everything way worse. So I like the idea of also maybe having Nebula in a position of like that she feels like she can have her hero moment, but really this is going to backfire in a big way. And maybe we have our characters have to talk her down because it could be the end of her kind of redemption arc because she is a villain. She has murdered a lot of people. She is dangerous, but also at the same time, she wants to be loved. She wants her sister back and she doesn't want her father to ever hurt someone
Is this
again.
like the Star-Lord moment where it's like emotion makes you do the wrong decision?
Yeah, kind of a selfish move as opposed to one that's for the greater good. I think that's an interesting idea, guys. Like one of the Avengers could become, in a way, a more selfish villain than even Thanos was. I just did like a rewatch of Infinity War, and I kind of made like for the sake of argument a case that Thor is a structural villain if Thanos is the protagonist, that Thor is the antagonist. So just for the sake of it, even though I know he's a good guy.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, but like, what if Thor, since he's so pissed off that his brother got killed that way and he feels like it was a real personal loss for him, what if he gets his hand on the gauntlet and just does things a little worse and they're like, no, Thor, now we got to
I want to see angry Hemsworth for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely what I'm all about. But also I think one of the best lessons we learned from Infinity War is even at their most powerful, they're not stronger than when they're together.
Agreed.
And like you even have Thor getting a hammer back, even though the lesson we literally just learned is that he doesn't need the hammer. Being Thor is himself. The Thor was hidden inside of us the whole time. That's the great lesson you learn. And then even with a hammer, it doesn't matter. Thanos still wins. And so them together having to solve the Thanos problem also probably is the answer for how to use the Infinity Stones in a way that makes sense. They're wishing stones. They're different kind of Care Bear magic. You just you hold hands, everyone holds a stone, they swallow it, do whatever you need to do, and then they wish their thing back. So like Thor wishes back Asgard and they bring back those gods, or the Valkyries, or Loki, or whatever you want to do. He's got a TV show coming up, you probably need him to be alive. And then like you have Tony Stark wishing back, or you have Captain America wishing to go back to the 40s, whatever. You have a couple different options for where you could go, but the idea of them having to be together to make that kind of decision, I think, is how this movie is going to end, because that's you do stuff together.
Well, let's talk about the Hulk. Now, we've thrown out a couple big theories about the Hulk. A lot of you guys were curious about the Hulk in Infinity War because he had that performance anxiety. He lost to Thanos in the opening minutes, and the Hulk is never supposed to lose. He's supposed to just beat someone to a draw because he just gets angrier and madder. So one theory that we've speculated about is that maybe this is just part of his evolution over the course of the MCU, that maybe this could lead to a new incarnation of the Hulk in Endgame, like the Professor Hulk version or some version of that, where the Hulk is still in his Hulk form, but he has Bruce Banner's intelligence. And maybe that's just where things are headed. But another theory, and this is the crazier one, that was like one of my favorite ones to talk about on the channel, is that Hulk is not actually Hulk in this movie. That maybe the reason why Hulk lost, and maybe the reason why Bruce Banner, when he comes back into his form, remembers things from when Hulk was at the reins, is that it's actually Loki in disguise. That Loki maybe faked his death and projected himself when Thanos snapped his neck, and then masqueraded as the Hulk and Bruce Banner, as he has been known. He masqueraded as Captain America in the Dark World.
And Odin for
a couple of years, right? So maybe the whole version of this character that we've seen throughout Infinity War was actually Loki. What do you guys think on that one? I have some thoughts.
Quick thoughts.
It's bullshit.
Loki is actually really Matt Damon.
Whoa. How's that character doing? Did he die on the ship?
I think it was confirmed that he did die in the snap. Yeah. The actor on Asgard. Yeah.
I don't like this theory. Also, because you see him actively trying to become the Hulk when no one else is around. So why would Loki do that? There's no one there to verify that he tried to do that. I know he was in like an Iron Man suit, and you could like write your way around to like why he would do that.
But I mean, you can't put it past Loki. He is a survivalist. He will do anything that he can to stay alive, betray anyone, do anything. We thought he'd changed his way, but I don't think he would have gone that quickly. Who knows? But at the same time, I really like the idea of Professor Hulk. I want it now, please.
Glasses, lab coat, very important.
How big do you think those glasses have to be? Like,
yeah.
What am I doing with my hands, you think? Oh, Sam, I learnt the hard way. You're still going. Good.
Yeah, I hope they have big plans for Hulk in this movie and beyond Endgame, because seeing Hulk with Thor in Thor Ragnarok was such an amazing pairing, and I want to see more in that direction, whether it's the cocky gladiator version of the character or a character who has the personality and intelligence of Bruce Banner.
Yeah, it's interesting because they've spoiled, you kind of had to, they spoiled Hulk in Ragnarok as soon as they announced the movie, basically. Like, hey, don't worry, it's not just a Thor movie. You're getting another Avenger as well.
Oh, I know you. We're friends.
And then in Infinity War, they lied. It was like, no, Hulk's at the end. Don't worry, he's going to be in Wakanda. Nuh-uh. That's not true. So now they've like totally hit it. I think he's going to get a really cool moment. Glasses, lab coat, and all. He's going to be looking sharp, and maybe he's going to be able to talk as well. I don't know. There was a fun breakdown I saw where it was like, Hulk is Hulk, Banner's Banner. The idea of them together is kind of like doing disservice to both of them because they're both two different identities, but also the idea of finding harmony within yourself and the different sides of your own personality. Like, there's something sweet about that. So that could be something that's nestled into this 3-hour epic. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about Loki as one of the fallen characters. The tagline in this movie is Avenge the Fallen. So let's talk about the other fallen characters. Which of them do you think will come back? And will there be a difference between the fallen who dusted at the end of the movie and the other ones like Loki and Gamora, Heimdall, and Vision who died in other ways? We predicted that Loki could resurrect at some point. Some theories that were out there saying that maybe he's banished to hell, the realm that Hela was in, and he could come back the same way. Maybe that's where gods go when they die. Or another theory is that Vision might still be present in some way, maybe downloaded into Shuri's server or trapped in the Mind Stone the way that Gamora was trapped in the Soul Stone, and that maybe lots of characters could be in different Infinity Stones as these kind of ghostly presences. So how do you guys think, are we going to see all the characters who died in Infinity War going to come back and maybe trade lives for some of the living characters, or do you think there's going to be some other way that they get brought back?
Quick thing that I thought would have been kind of cool, just thinking about it today. We see Red Skull. Oh, spoilers for that movie. We see Red Skull like show up, and he's like a guide for Thanos because he messed with the Infinity Stone. It would have been really cool if we saw like Malekith, who was, if you guys forget, Thor the Dark World. He played with the Red Stone, and maybe like Ronan, who played with the Power Stone, the purple one, like coming back and being guides as well. Like, oh, these are all people who tried to use these and it backfired bad. Like Red Skull, it was like definitive. Like, oh, he could be somewhere else. Those two exploded or were crushed by ships or whatever. Like, I thought that would be kind of fun as a fun theory. Out of all those, Vision, because I'm a big Vision supporter, 2020. But like.
It's so funny because you need glasses.
Huh? I see, because I'm blind. I like the idea of Vision being downloaded into like a newer body. Like, you see a hint of like that, like the white like outline of him when he gets the stone ripped out of his head. That look, though, I think is really cool. So that could
Put
be.
Benny back in a sweater. Come on, say what you really want.
I want the sweater. He pulled it off. Also, he made it with his skin.
However, we know some characters are going to have to come back because we've seen a trailer with Peter Parker, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill in it for Spider-Man Far From Home. So I just hope that however they bring them back is harder to accomplish than it was for Thanos to erase them.
Okay, so you know how at the end of Harry Potter, where the wands meet, that was your tummy.
My tummy
you're a bit hungry. So the wands meet, can't do that either. And all of a sudden, like, all the previous spells and all the previous dead people come back. So like Harry's mom and dad, and they're like, keep going, keep going. That's how we're going to get the Fallen back. So it's going to be like, it's working, whatever with the stones. And then like one at a time, they'll like appear and they're like, come on, you got
billions of life forms one at a time. That's why it's 3 hours.
Yes.
Start this way.
Yeah.
And then
a lot of people.
There's
that
one guy
energy
behind Nick Fury in New York who faded away. Oh,
the
gotta
guy,
get
like,
him there.
The guy right
I've thought about him a lot. Like, I've lost sleep over that.
Yeah, his friend was saying right next to him.
Yeah.
Probably not sleeping well.
How do you get past that? Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, we just don't want this to be too easy. I think that is the way that you kind of, if it just seems like, oh, then there was no stakes, like there needs to be more
But we already know which ones are coming back.
We know some, at least, are coming back. But staying on this topic, what cost do you think that will incur? So who alive right now is the most likely to die, to lay down their life? So we've considered the idea that Captain America, he's Mr. Sacrifice, right? He's always the guy to lay down on the wire rather than cut it. And one idea is that maybe he won't die. Maybe his story will kind of go back to where it began. And if time travel is going to be part of this movie, or multiverse hopping, whatever the sci-fi conceit is, you know, he's always had that rain check, that last dance with Peggy Carter he's always wanted to have. And we know Peggy Carter is going to come back to the Disney Plus What If series. It's going to be her pilot episode, maybe to remind us who Peggy Carter is. She could be part of his Endgame. That's one way. Some people talk about Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. might be done, and maybe he'll prove Cap wrong by finally lay down the wire, sacrificing himself, and maybe that voice recording in the Endgame trailer that we heard will actually be his final goodbye to Pepper, and it'll be found later. And then, of course, Thanos himself. Like, we don't know what Thanos' health situation is. Is he mortally wounded? Is he already dead? Are they going to find some corpse version of Thanos? So who do you think alive right now? Let's check in. Who's at the top of your death pool for Endgame?
Deadpool. I love the idea of these directors, Anthony and Joe Russo, and the writers, Stephen McFeely and
Christopher Marcus.
Thank you. They do a really good job of honoring the comic accurate version of something while also trying to tell a story that's grounded. I like the idea that at the end of this movie, Thanos in the comics is obsessed with death, and death is like a person, like the girl next door.
Mistress Death.
Yeah, and it's like he wants to impress her, and so they can fall in love, and he can die. But it's like symbolizes that because he's obsessed with it. The idea at the end of showing maybe a personification of death, or something that's maybe not so on the nose, but something that represents his obsession with this idea that like you need to kill things to make things work, like you have to make those sacrifices. It's like, no, you do not, you don't need to do that. This also philosophically it doesn't make any sense, and economically it doesn't make any sense to do something like this. But I like the idea of doing a tip of the cap to something like Mistress Death or something like that.
What with that? I mean, that actually isn't a stretch, because the whole notion of death is that everyone has their time and you can't mess with that. It's like it's their time. He's wiped out half the species. He's wiped out half the planet. So it's like that, if anything is going to get death up and hot and bothered, it's going to be like, whoa, you did something that...
Oh, he's trying to play God and interfere with fate. Yeah.
It wasn't their time.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And we've dealt with beings that are like higher level, and the idea of teasing those moving forward with like the Eternals, like those are kind of like gods, like space gods, depending on who's writing or whatever they want to do with that. That could be a really interesting way to end Thanos' story, but at the same time, I don't want to get rid of Thanos. I don't want to get rid of Thanos because Thanos is like, that's such a fun character. You got to have him one more time where the heroes team up with the villain and they go after the next big guy. Yeah. They always do that. It's classic.
Is gonna be,
Thanos needs to be like what The Rock was to the Fast and Furious franchise, right? You bring in the big bald dude and like he becomes friends with them, but kind of frenemies. We don't know. Well, let's talk about the post-credit scenes, right? We can make some specific predictions about how this movie, the end of it, the post-credit scene, could set up Phase 4, because the Marvel films are always about what's coming next. And we've theorized that this post-credit scene could introduce things like Galactus, because they could, even though that this whole movie was written and shot before the Fox-Disney merger was completed, they can shoot that stuff up to like 2 weeks before the movie gets released. It's often very simple to do that. The shawarma scene was shot like, I think, a week before the first Avengers came out. Yeah. Oh, it was shot after the premiere.
Which they had I think a few weeks in. Yeah, they had a few weeks in between that.
So they can do stuff super late. So Galactus could be introduced as the new villain of the MCU in the Infinity Gauntlet comics. He gets real pissed off when Thanos snaps his fingers and eats a bunch of planets and runs over with a bunch of other cosmic entities and says, "We're gonna take you in front of the living tribunal," and it won't work. Never trust the legal system. And then maybe if the Galactus comes in, the Fantastic Four could be introduced as the new heroes.
Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer. As well. Yeah. And some have suggested that maybe the post-credit scene will be even simpler, introducing some new character, some random rando who has a mutant ability, and the existence of mutants could be teased in the post-credit scene, bringing in the X-Men. And then other villains like Dr. Doom, maybe something involving Oscorp to tease what could happen in Spider-Man Far From Home. What are you guys thinking for our post-credit scene?
I like that.
I think we're teasing Far From Home, for sure.
Yeah,
because it's like, hey, you know what? This is done. Welcome to Phase 4. It's just like, let's hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I think
Sinister Six kind of thing, maybe, with something Spider-Man
remember how
related.
That didn't happen?
Yeah.
It's so close.
Yeah, so close.
So close. Sorry, Drew Goddard. I think I have my fanboy things I want, but then like the realistic answer feels like they would keep the door open for some of the characters that probably died. Like if like Iron Man or Captain America goes headfirst into a wood chipper, but it's like, but maybe they made it through. Maybe
particles smaller than that have come back.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Maybe something
what
like
that.
What
does Fanboy Sam want?
Fanboy Sam wants like silhouette from behind like a dude, and you're like, that's clearly a dude in jeans and whatever, and he's wearing jeans, and then all of a sudden he's got a fist, and like you see like 3 knives come out of the fist.
I like it.
And then you see like a rocket taking off, like in like showing basically what we could accomplish in the future, and you see like a rocket taking off, and you see like, hey, there's Sue, there's Reed, there's Johnny Storm, there's Ben Grimm, they're going off. Or maybe they finally tease, like you see Daredevil walking out and Iron Fist, they high five.
I don't think
Thank God it's over.
Right.
Oh my God, we're free.
So much of the Endgame is going to be about the finality of certain arcs. I think that post-credit scene has got to set up something beyond Far From Home, just to keep shareholders and fans excited for the years to come with stuff released on Disney Plus and what movies will be coming next. So even if it's not like an actor appearing in a character form, some kind of tease, whether it's just a look logo of Fantastic Four, the way that Infinity War ended with just the Captain Marvel logo. Doesn't sound like it's that complex to shoot. They could be shooting that right now as we speak. I hope that they'll give us some kind of wink at what will be in store for next. I hope so, because otherwise we'll have nothing to talk about on this channel for the next 18 months.
I'm so excited. I keep looking at this poster because it's so cool. I'm so excited for such a personal story with these characters as they wind down this saga.
Yeah, me too. But let us know in the comments down below what you're most excited for. What do you think from Infinity War we should have paid the most attention to, and put in your final bet predictions for what you think will happen. But for now, let's move on to our trivia question.
Please and thank you. Guys, it's our weekly trivia question. I couldn't reach the box. I tried to grab it in time. But this is when we get a crazy trivia question. We all try to answer the best we can. Winners get to do the outro. Losers get shunned. No, we have a new game. We used to have to do something embarrassing in front of a green screen. You can edit us into there, but now we're putting the fun. What are these called? They're like,
I don't know,
mouths.
They're from a game.
Openers.
And
I always thought it was like what the dentist would use to make sure that you didn't get saliva on your teeth.
Yeah. Good call.
It wedges open your mouth, and then it's hard to talk with it. You'll see. It's lots of fun.
So here we go. We're going to write out our answers. Make sure you label your thing.
It's a bit unfair. You actually can't even tell the difference when I've got them in.
Oh my God. There you go. There's a question. There's a marker for you. And I got a question right here. Buckle up. Complete this line from the poem, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas."
What?
Get ready.
I hate it already.
Here it goes.
Who did this?
A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a blank just opening his pack. All right. Thank you so much to Melissa for this beautiful box.
Wonderful box.
Amazing. Now we're going to... Yes, of course. And at the end of the show, we're going to figure out who's the winner and who has to walk home. And then we will also play around with the mouth openers. Yes.
We have to give up our cards.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Pink slips.
A quick second to thank our sponsor, Wix. Wix is a great way to make a professional website. These days, it feels like if you don't have a website, you don't exist. Whether you've got a small business or a blog, Wix has you covered. There's a ton of freedom in terms of design. They handle the security and hosting side of it, too. We actually have a Wix site of our own at New Rockstars. If you go to newrockstarsfan.com, you'll find a poll where you can weigh in on what you want us to cover on this channel. We've had a great experience making this site. We came in with something specific. They had no trouble getting it done, and we've had no troubles with it since. Get started on your own website today for free at wix.com/rockstars and apply code rockstars at checkout to get 10% when upgrading to premium.
He's got sparkles in his eyes on the logo. It's like he's just seen a rock
It's
star.
like there's stars in their eyes. Speaking of that, we got a final trailer for Dark Phoenix this week that gave us some more context about this space mission. That was the segue, and showed a bit more of Jean Grey's evil side. But the marketing for this movie has some people confused about how and when Jean Grey developed her intense powers. We saw a glimpse of them in X-Men Apocalypse, but the trailer of Dark Phoenix seems to suggest that she gets them from a solar flare while trying to save some astronauts. So we're going to try to explain all of this to you very neatly, very concise.
Yes.
So usually in the comics, this is the way we've seen it in this trailer is how it goes in the comics. Of course, things get retconned, things get added to the past, But usually we see Jean Grey and the X-Men go out into space. They get hit. She gets hit with the Phoenix Force that's coming towards Earth and affecting some astronauts. And she turns into the Phoenix Force. There's a lot more comic book gobbledygook in between, but let's go ahead and condense that right on down. Why we see the Phoenix before that? Well, what has been explained in comics is that she has been marked as a powerful mutant pretty early on in her life.
Is she level 5?
Now level 5, and that's pretty dang high.
Yeah.
Omega level.
Omega level mutant.
Mega level.
Omega level.
Those are the highest. That's the highest you can graduate to.
sorry,
It's
you
really
saying
only
mega
like
or
her and
Omega?
Omega.
That's not.
Because I don't think
that
Charles
sounds
Xavier
O.
is Omega, but Legion
Okay.
is an Omega level,
Yes.
I think. Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
I am
Iceman
too.
is an Omega level mutant.
Get
as well.
out.
Fun
Really?
little tease. Yeah.
Ice
Yep.
Man?
Yep. He
But
could
he's-
freeze he could stop time if he wanted to, because freeze. Anyways, that's comic gobbledygook. But so far in this, because freeze.
It is true though.
It is
'cause
true.
freeze.
But no, condensing this down so far, I think what we're seeing is her coming into her own with these powers and having to deal with the ramifications of her, one, being a kid, two, possibly having her powers dampened by Charles Xavier, which seems to be teased that he did something nefarious, which is what happened in the comics. And her maybe not being able to deal with regular people problems anymore because she now has the power that sometimes in the comics is described as the power of all life. Full stop.
Oh, like
So-
a full life force throughout the
Yes.
universe.
It's chaotic and it's unpredictable, and can be used for good, but usually it makes people go a wee bit crazy.
Also, she's dealing with puberty.
Ain't that the worst?
Yeah, how old is Jean Grey in this? She's definitely older than 14.
I think so. I mean, it has been
Season
10
1,
years.
Sansa Stark. yeah. I
Time's
mean,
irrelevant.
Late bloomer. It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't she have a terminally ill friend when she was like a teenager, and she tried to prevent that death from happening, and through her telepathy powers ended up like being a blip on the Phoenix Force's radar, and like, oh, there's an Omega level mutant on Earth. I'll put my stamp on her, and we'll come back later.
Mark her and come back.
It's interesting. This trailer doesn't make it look like they aren't anywhere near the sun. I know in the comics there was like a solar flare, and that's how it looks like. There's a stranded NASA space shuttle with some kind of weird crap floating around it, and then they go rescue it. And when Jean Grey's in there trying to help Nightcrawler, that's when this nebulous thing attaches to her.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it looks like a solar flare. So you get like people would think that, and but no, it's actually a thing.
It seems like it could be a trap too. Like the Phoenix Force is trying to lure her back out there to be like, now I'm ready to get you.
Get off Earth. Get out of there. Gotta go, meet me on my turf. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm curious. we talked about the trailer before. Like Jessica Chastain's character is still unknown. There's some theories that she could be playing like another Shi'ar alien
like
character.
Queen and stuff.
Yeah,
who's like Charles Xavier's wife, girlfriend sometimes. Whatever you want it to
gets confused.
Be, yeah.
I think maybe she could be herself incarnation of the Phoenix Force that only Jean Grey sees, and maybe that's. Yeah. All right. Let us know what you thought about this trailer in the comments below. What you're most looking forward to about Dark Phoenix. Yes, the movie is still happening. But Maude, you were talking about some news from the Star Wars world.
Dun, 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 dun. So I love Star Wars, and this is my area of expertise. Sorry, Sansa. Phoenix. So now in an interview at Star Wars Celebration, Kathleen Kennedy dropped an exciting nugget while talking to Josh Horowitz from MTV News. She said, you know that we talk about Knights of the Old Republic all the time. Yes, we are developing something to look at. Vague, but still a glory nugget of hope. It does sound like this project's in very early stages. It still seemed like a good time to get into who/what the Knights of the Old Republic are, right? So this is a very good video game that I have told you guys to play numerous times, and I've said that it's not only on Mac, but PC, but tablets. You can play it on iPad. You have no excuses, everyone. So what's exciting about this one, it was released on Xbox in 2003 originally, hence the potato graphics. It was a huge hit. It's the Old Republic is set 4,000 years before the Skywalker saga that we have. So this is like a long, long time ago in the same galaxy. But it is a long, long time ago here. So before the Galactic Empire and all that stuff. The Star Wars movies have not actually explored this time era yet. But what's so cool about this 4,000 years ago is that the Jedi versus Sith is very, very different. So in the movies, a majority of the time there are no Jedi. There's only sort of like the one or just the Skywalkers. And with Sith, there's only ever been like the rule of two that we've seen in the films. 4,000 years ago, there were Jedi Academy. There was Sith school. You basically get taught how to become a Jedi or a Sith. And they have armies of them on both sides. So these guys rule the galaxy. It's awesome.
Do you go to like a Hogwarts to learn to be good or bad?
Yeah, I think it's like, if you're a decent person, you kind of follow like the path of light. But if you have the dark side in you, I've actually explored that a lot. I would love to read a young adult novel, which is all about someone who got sent to Sith school and they realized that they weren't actually that bad. Anyway, this is why this is my area of expertise. What are you guys though thinking about the Old Republic? We haven't actually heard if there's going to be a video game or if we're going to see a movie version of this or a television series. How do you think this narrative version is going to come across? Do you think it could be a choose your own adventure like we had with Netflix's Bandersnatch?
Oh yeah.
Is Disney Plus going to get their grubby hands on this one too?
Yeah, grubby hands. Grab them. Because Mandalorian looks, as far as everyone said so far,
casting.
It looks amazing. Beautiful casting.
Yeah.
Beautiful people. Honestly, this sounds like the perfect like recipe for like a magician style like episodic series. I would like to see like you explore every nook and cranny of what the Force can do and all the drama that comes along with it.
Now bear with me because I get to talk about this. I want to kind of go over these main characters here and then also see who I think they're going to be. So you've got HK-47 here, the droid on the left, who is an assassin droid who basically is programmed to kill. And he calls humans meatbags. And so you've got this, like we saw in Solo, this beautiful relationship between droids and humans and droids hating humans. So fun. Right there, you got Darth Malak, who's like obviously the antagonist. He's like the big bad guy. He's scary. And then
I think he's misunderstood.
And you got Bastila right here. She needs to be played by Kate Beckinsale tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because she's actually British in it too.
Based on Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's, I won't spoil it, but there's an amazing twist in it. So I would love to see this either brought to life on the big screen or we get another video game, even though KOTOR 2 wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah, I hope some adaptation that preserves the idea of choice in it. Like you mentioned the Bandersnatch thing. Bandersnatch was a cool step forward in a new type of storytelling that I hadn't seen on streaming services before. I'd love to see that explored even more in the world of Star Wars. Could be a fun thing since the morality part of the
Well, you're on the good side or the light or the dark side.
Right. So in order to, it would be great to see some kind of narrative version of that where you can have different choices of like what you say to them, how you respond to people.
That's the video game. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
so like,
good.
if they're going to do something like that, if they don't want to do another video game, see a narrative version that preserves those elements.
You need to play that game.
Yeah.
I would like a full series, and I want it to be YA, like Maude had suggested earlier, and I want all the drama. You can have a little bit of Star Wars in there, but I mainly want teen
like
drama.
Riverdale, Old Republic.
The dance is coming up, and this guy asked out 2 girls at the same time,
So
flip it on its head.
sick.
This girl asked out 2 guys at the same time, flip it on its head one more time. This girl asked out 2 droids, and one of them looks like Jar Jar. Whoa, I'm already signed up. Let me watch it now.
That's the pilot episode.
I feel the disrespect.
Well, let us know what version of this Knights of the Old Republic development idea that you want to see, whether it's a movie or a series, whatever it is. But Sam, what has happened in other news?
Here's a quickie news, gang. Buckle up. In other news, a Swamp Thing teaser dropped this week. I thought it was pretty cool. And
What's the scandal?
Well, they suddenly shut down production, or the rumors are that they suddenly shut down production before they were finished shooting the show. But hey, those are unconfirmed, but a lot of people reported on it, so we'll figure out how that ends.
I have inside scoop.
The teaser looked cool.
My friend's in it.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
We'll find out more later. Not you. Yes. But also, there's the plagiarism claim against the Duffer Brothers regarding Stranger Things is heading to court next month.
Yeah. So what was that? There was like a short film called Montauk that early versions of Stranger Things that they pitched. They were calling it the Montauk Project, and it was based off of the short film. It looked like that. It kind of had a lot of the same stuff that Stranger Things did in the pilot. But I don't know. You can't always say just because things are similar that they're the same, but we don't really know all the full details. And the judge is like, this is going all the way to court. So we'll see.
I hope everything turns out okay. But also, rumors are that John Cena will most likely play the role of Peacemaker in James Gunn's Suicide Squad reboot. The role was originally intended for Dave Bautista, because of course, but he has some scheduling conflicts. Really quick, Peacemaker is based on is a Charleston comic character who was bought by DC or acquired by them in the 80s, and he was supposed to be in Watchmen when they were based on the Charlton characters, but basically he's comedian. He's the comedian of that.
Yeah, except for it's John Cena, so you can't piece me.
There you go. Pretty good. And you should gift that. Also, Shazam comes out on DVD. Get your DVD players ready, kids, on July 2nd.
That's so
and
soon.
It will reportedly have a lot of extra footage, which is exciting. Yeah. And, of course, Tessa Thompson, fan favorite, says she's heard a Thor 4 movie has been pitched with Taika Waititi back as director. Try to say that quickly. Thor 4, Thor 4, Thor 4.
Yeah.
Thor 4.
Yeah.
Oh, you can write it with a fourth, like with a 4 in the title, like Fan 4 stick.
Fourth.
Well, I guess Thor's okay then.
There you go. Hey, who knows though? Maybe it's just Tessa Thompson. But finally, we have a poster for Godzilla King of Monsters, which was released, or it's coming out very soon. And for audio listeners, quick description: it's a picture of Godzilla, big lizard surrounded by helicopters, those machines, and these breathing blue flames into the sky. It's usually a nuclear
That's how
breath.
I wake up every morning.
Atomic breath. He's
atomic breath. Thank you.
Blasting the crap out of Sally Hawkins' name up at the top of the poster.
Ooh,
What did Sally do?
Should we read into that more? Interesting. Guess we'll have to wait and find out. But gang, it's time for another favorite segment of the show, Lightning Round.
Yes.
Whoa.
You guys know about our lightning round. You tweet us questions that we, put the word out on Twitter for. And we're going to pop some up on the screen. I'm going to fire them at my hosts. Whoever has to answer them has to do it pretty quickly. No hesitation. Are you guys ready? First one's for me.
Ready.
Yes.
Hi, Marco. Ask for seconds. How are you, buddy? For the rumored KOTOR spin-off, what actors would you want to see play some of the lead roles? Oh, I'm so glad we did that.
Yeah. You already got one.
Bastila, Kate Beckinsale for sure. Darth Revan, Tom Hardy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, just see a
good
Bane
pick,
thing going. And then I'm just going from what I see on the screen. HK47. I would.
He's got a good voice.
Brendan Fraser.
Sure.
There you go.
Tam, you're up next.
Yes.
At Obi-Wan Bologna says, does Yoda wear boxers briefs or does he go commando?
He doesn't need to somewhere. I was going to say it in backwards, but but I said it front ways first. Anyways, this dude is all natural. Why do you
Well,
need any
he doesn't.
undies when you're in the swamp?
Oh, yeah. I think actually if you wear undies, it creates a swamp.
Actually, when he does all those flipping stuff, he's going to need to wear something. So I'm going to go with Brees.
Okay.
Don't
you're
no
up.
slips.
This one's from @Grape Fanta for the win. You guessing there's a chance that Rey is going to be related to Palpatine?
A chance, but I'm guessing probably not. Not all the characters have to be related. I think the reveal, as much of a downer as it was in Last Jedi, that Rey's parents were nobodies, junk traders who just abandoned her. I'm more interested in that version of the character who is truly not connected through any bloodline. We already have one Aegon Targaryen reveal bloodline.
Real quick.
Right now.
If Palpatine is a Skywalker and then Rey's a Skywalker, does that mean while Vader's Anakin's turning into Vader and while Padme's there, he just did the sneaky?
Anyway. Not everyone needs to be Skywalkers.
Yaniel Rivera, for me, said, this is not quick, says, do you think that Palpatine will return as a ghost or his essence is still around the Death Star? We do know that in canon, Sith can put their minds and mentality in old relics in canon, and that would be a safe idea, don't you agree? No, I think it's Darth Plagueis. I think that the Sith have figured out the ability to never die.
Okay. Interesting. Or Vision's body's not being used right now. Maybe he's possessed of Vision. You're welcome.
Yep.
Eric, I've got one from @WasHP. You ready?
Yeah.
Please explain Star Wars to me in 15 seconds.
Okay. Arthurian legend, but set in space a long time ago, where a son realizes that his dad is actually his greatest villain, convinces his dad to come back to the light, and we learn the dad's backstory, and we learn about his nephew and how he does the same thing.
Whoa. I didn't hear a word you said because I
Nope,
was
I
think I
so
nailed it.
thrilled with my counting on my fingers, but yes!
Laser swords.
And on 3, we need to answer from @APistolPete_21. Who's the better Jedi, Yoda, Obi-Wan, or Luke? 1, 2, 3. Obi-Wan.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
What do you think of what the Jedi are? Luke he abandons the Jedi Order.
So did Yoda.
And Obi-Wan
That's
just
true.
gets a tan in the desert for 30 years.
Hello there.
Hello there. And Yoda does way more flips.
Yeah. Well, let us know who you think the greatest Jedi is, and thank you all for asking these questions to us. We appreciate it. But now comes the time for 15-second shout-outs, where each of us has 15 seconds to shout out, plug, ramble about anything they want. Zam.
Ooh, well, leading up to Infinity War's ending and Endgame start. I said that wrong. Anyways, Endgame's coming out.
Yeah,
and if you want to get a quick summary, you can go to youtube.com/mightbeawesome. I did a deep dive animated explainer. Cartoons of what happened to Earth after everything died. And guess what, gang? Bad news bears. If you were driving a car, you're probably dead. So if you want to learn more, go check that out. And please, because it's a new project and they're very fragile in the beginning. So there you go.
Yes.
All right, well, you're going to count me because I'm going to get through as much as I can in this time.
And
thanks to Disney Australia for getting me premiere tickets to Endgame. What's up? Thank you so much for Black Milk for decking me out in some really cool stuff, especially this dress. You can check it out at blackmilkclothing.com. I also have a clothing line, shopwhat.com. That's my little baby, so make sure that happens good. I'm about to hit 100,000 subscribers on Geek Bomb. Is that my time? Are you kidding me? Please join my Patreon.
All right.
I may have counted quick. Sorry. I was just counting 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I was doing accurate seconds. For me, May 3rd, the week after
Time's
Endgame,
fair.
will be my next Darkest Timeline comedy at the Acme Theater in North Hollywood. Look out on my social media for all the details on that.
Sold out.
Last one sold out. This is so exciting. So hopefully everyone will. So if you missed it, here's your chance. If you're ever visiting in town, try to make it on the first Friday of the month so you can come hang out with us.
Yay!
Well, now we return to our trivia question that we asked earlier. We have our punishment box set up here, and the questions are all in here.
Yes.
Sam has the answer.
Whoa.
And whoa, revealed it too much. And then
Go ahead and spread those out. We'll go over. I'll read the question one more time because we definitely had to read it a couple times because I've already forgot what it was. Charles Dickens, I believe. Yes, of course. Here it goes. Okay. Best answer. Maude, we'll start with your answer. Complete this line of the poem. 'Twas the night before Christmas. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a blank just opening his pack. So here, I'm going to read it again, and then you enter the answer. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a...
Sam says rat.
Just opening his pack. There you go.
Looks like a rat, he
You want to
said.
set it up again?
Yes. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a...
Snack.
Just opening his back. That's pretty good.
Get some internal rhymes we got going
Daddy
here.
vibes.
And finally, Eric wrote a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like the screaming hoarder on the corner of Lancashire and Moore Park, just opening his pack.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
It's pretty close.
He's got a big pack.
All right, judges.
It's got a lot of things in it.
It's like you want to lose.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was the best answer I could think of.
I mean,
I've never seen the Screaming Hoarder.
I have not
You
either,
only-
but
you
he
hear him
might
first.
not be. He
That's a
might
man.
not be far off, because our answer is a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his
okay.
pack. Maybe the guy in the
pretty
corner.
sure
That's pretty good.
What do peddlers have usually? Snacks? No, he looked like a snack. He looks delicious. That's what I'm trying to say. He looks like a...
I mean, which one's the most wrong? All right, so the judges have voted. Buckle up, kids, because it's a shocker. No, it's not. Eric lost. Sorry, Derek lost.
Derek lost.
And
Hi, I'm Derek Lost.
won.
That's
So,
because everyone knows that Santa's sassy if you put your mind to it.
I mean, he's got a lot
So
to
I'm
love.
going to read our goodbyes with the thing.
Yeah.
And Maude, you get to humiliate him. There you
It's
go.
just, you have a very little mouth.
Tiny,
I've
tiny
noticed.
mouth.
Punching on that.
Thank you for watching. Or listening to this week's episode of Next
Okay, quick, time out. I hate it, but continue. But I hate it because it looks like someone behind you is saying your words for you.
How dare you, sir? She's kind enough to this mouth and no one else has. Do not go in there. Woo! Okay. I want to thank our hosts.
Hank? Who's Hank?
Sam Thatcher. Sam.
You have the worst last name for this game.
It's so hard. And not Odd Garrett. And
You said that so clearly.
hi, I'm Erik Voss.
Wait, say it quietly.
Hi, I'm Erik Voss.
There's so much gum.
There's so much all gone, baby, all day, all night. But reminder that this is episode in audio and video horror. Our video horror is at
Video form.
youtube.com/new Rockstars, and you can
Gosh.
get the audio anywhere you get your podcast. So as long as you use the Himalaya app, you can actually leave comments on the podcast
Yeah,
and support the show directly. Comment and tweet at us at New Rockstars. Like this video or podcast if you're listening.
Podcast.
Share it around. Subscribe to New Rockstars Deep Dive and all the stuff you love. See you next
Say
week.
podcast.
Podcast.
Say your last name.
Oh,